The lamps are low tonight, and the room feels a little quieter than the day that came before it. You've made it here, at the edge of evening, where nothing needs to be earned or proven, just a soft place to land for a little while. Settle in however you are. Let your jaw loosen, just a little. Let the back of your tongue rest, the way a stone settles at the bottom of a clear pond. Let your shoulders drop from your ears, drifting down their own slow path. Let your hands unclench, fingers easing open like the petals of a tired flower. Let your eyes grow heavy, even if they're still half open. The lids warming, softening. Feel your breath smoothing out, not because you're trying, but because the night is finally catching up with you. It's been a day, hasn't it? Maybe a long one, maybe a full one, maybe one of those days where you carried more than anyone noticed. Work that tugged at your time, family or friends who needed more of you than you had to give, money questions that whispered at the back of your mind, responsibilities stacked like books on a small table, and that steady hum of thoughts that keeps going even when the body is tired. For now, you can set all of it down by the door, the way you'd leave your shoes after coming home. You don't have to solve anything this moment. Let it be like placing a heavy bag on the floor, the strap slipping from your shoulder, the weight finally releasing. Let the day close behind you as quietly as a door pulled to with two gentle fingers. Feel the dust of the mind settling, like a glass jar placed on a counter, its little swirl finally coming to rest. The lights inside you dim just a bit, warm and steady. Some of you came carrying the pressure to hold everything together. Someone here may be holding an old worry they didn't mean to bring with them tonight. Someone else might feel the edge of overthinking, still curling around the corners of the mind. I've heard these concerns on many evenings, spoken softly, when people think they should be stronger than they feel. But here, in this quiet room we share, there's no need to resist your own softness. There's no need to pretend the day didn't weigh on you. Things change, drift, come and go. Feelings rise and fall like small waves brushing against a familiar shore. You're allowed to let them move the way they want, without holding on so tightly. Let kindness touch you from the inside out tonight. Not a grand gesture, just the gentle kind, the kind that feels like the cool side of a pillow, or a warm hand on your shoulder, the kind that doesn't hurry you or push you, the kind that forgives the moments you wish had gone differently, and welcomes the moments you handled with quiet grit. Everything about today can soften around the edges now, and if this space helps you rest, feel free to subscribe so you can find your way back whenever the world feels too loud. And if you feel like it, leave a simple comment. 1, if this opening eased you. 2, if it didn't. Either way, I'm glad you're here. Now, let the night settle a little deeper. And when you're ready, we'll step gently into the first story. Story 01. An old monk was sweeping the temple yard at dusk, the broom whispering against the stones. A young traveler arrived, shoulders tight, eyes restless from long roads and longer worries. He watched the monk sweep the same spot again and again. "Why sweep a place that's already clean?" the traveler asked. The monk paused, smiled softly, and kept sweeping. A few fallen leaves drifted in on the wind. The traveler sighed. "My mind feels like that. I clear it, and new troubles blow in." The monk nodded, his broom still moving. "That's why I sweep," he said gently. "Not to finish, to keep things clear enough." The traveler felt something ease in his chest. His breathing slowed. He sat on the temple steps and watched the leaves swirl. Not good. Not bad, just leaves. You might know this feeling yourself. The endless inbox. The repeating thoughts. Maybe tonight, you can let things be clear enough. Not perfect. Life softens when we stop chasing completion. Peace comes from tending, not finishing. For 1 minute, imagine sweeping your mind, just one slow stroke at a time. Story 02. A farmer came to a small forest shrine with anger burning behind his eyes. His neighbor had insulted him, and he replayed the words all day. An old nun sat nearby, mending her robe. "Tell me how to forget," the farmer demanded. The nun threaded her needle quietly. Then she held it up and said, "Try threading this while shaking." The farmer tried. His hands trembled with irritation. The thread refused to enter the needle's eye. He groaned in frustration. "Your mind is doing the same," she said, trying to aim while shaking. The farmer sat down, breath warming in his chest. The shaking gradually faded. Someone listening tonight may know that same shaking there after conflict or tension. It's hard to do anything wisely when stirred up inside, but you don't have to fix the world before you steady your hands. Calm first. Act second. Rest your palms on your chest for 1 minute and feel your hands slowly steady. Story 03. A merchant rushed into a hillside monastery. Robes dusty from travel. He complained of too many tasks. Too little time. Too many people pulling him in every direction. A gentle teacher poured him tea. The cup filled, then overflowed onto the floor. The merchant jumped back. "What are you doing?" The teacher set down the pot. "You are like this cup," she said, too full to hold anything more. The merchant stared at the spilling tea. For the first time that day, he stopped talking. He breathed out long and slow. The quiet around them settled like evening dew. His shoulders lowered without him noticing. Maybe your days feel full like that, spilled over with demands. There is nothing wrong with needing space. Even strong people empty out. Make room before adding more. Close your eyes for 1 minute and silently say, "I release what I don't need tonight." Story 04. A widow visited a forest monk carrying deep grief. She asked how to stop the ache in her chest. The monk pointed to a fallen tree. "Feel how the trunk still holds warmth from the sun," he said. She placed her hand on the rough bark. Warmth lingered beneath the surface. "Love is like that," he continued. "Even when something ends, warmth stays." The widow's tears came gently. Without fear, the forest wind moved around them like a sigh. If your heart holds something heavy, loss, regret, old memories, you are not failing. Every heart keeps warmth long after events have passed. You can let the warmth stay without carrying the pain so tightly. What stays in us is not only the loss, but the warmth. Press a hand to your chest for 1 minute and remember one warm moment. Story 05. A monk sweeping snow from the monastery gate noticed a stranger hesitating outside. The stranger's clothes were thin. His worry was thick. He feared entering, afraid of judgment. The monk opened the gate wider. "No one needs permission to step out of the cold," he said. The stranger entered slowly. They shared hot tea by a small fire. The stranger confessed he'd failed in business, felt ashamed, and didn't know his next step. The monk listened without interruption. Sometimes what we fear most is simply being seen, but warmth grows when we step out of our hiding places. The stranger's breath finally softened near the fire. You deserve warmth, even when you feel lost. Sit still for 1 minute and whisper inwardly, I'm allowed to rest. Story 06. A mother visited a quiet mountain hermit. She was overwhelmed by caring for her children, her aging parents, and her endless tasks. Her voice trembled with exhaustion. The hermit handed her a wooden ladle full of water. Carry this to the stream and return without spilling. She took 2 steps. Water splashed out. It's impossible. She sighed. He nodded kindly. Because you tried to watch everything at once. He gave her another ladle. This time she focused only on the ripple inside the cup. She made it to the stream. Her breathing slowed. If your days feel like too many things at once, it's okay to narrow your gaze tonight. One small thing, then the next. Not everything all at once. Life steadies when we focus on one quiet thing. For 1 minute, place your attention only on the sensation of your hands. Story 07. A young monk worried he wasn't progressing fast enough. He compared himself to others and felt behind, like he'd missed something important. The abbot invited him on a slow walk around the lake. They noticed ducks gliding across the surface. Some drifted. Some paddled hard. Some rested on the shore. But all eventually reached the far bank. None of them hurry. The abbot said, yet all arrive. The monk breathed easier as the evening light softened the water. Maybe you feel behind too: career, family, healing, goals. But your pace is yours. Nothing in nature rushes toward its own unfolding. Your path doesn't need to match anyone else's. For 1 minute, breathe softly and say, my pace is enough. Story 08. A woodcutter came to a village teacher angry at himself. He made mistakes at work, lost his temper, and felt ashamed afterward. The teacher handed him a dull axe. Try cutting with this, she said. The woodcutter swung and failed. Sweat rolled down his back. It's not sharp, he snapped. She nodded. Neither is a tired mind. The woodcutter sat down, breath catching. Rest sharpened the edge within minutes. He understood exhaustion, not failure, had been driving him. His jaw softened. If you've been hard on yourself lately, maybe you're just tired. It's okay to rest instead of forcing through. Even tools need tending. Fatigue is not failure. Close your eyes for 1 minute and relax your jaw completely. Story 09. A traveling artist asked a monk why her work felt lifeless lately. She painted, erased, repainted, doubting each stroke. Her confidence had shrunk to a thin thread. The monk picked up a flute and blew one gentle, imperfect note. It wavered in the air. He smiled softly. Not every breath has to be perfect, he said. The artist watched the sound fade. Her shoulders eased. Later, she tried one simple brushstroke without judgment. Color bloomed on the paper like dawn. She felt a small joy returning. Maybe you also judge yourself too quickly. Your words, your choices, your attempts. Let imperfect breaths be allowed tonight. Let something waver and still be okay. Life opens when we allow imperfection. For 1 minute, breathe naturally and notice one thing you can let be imperfect. Story 10. A palace servant sought advice from an elderly monk. He worried constantly about making mistakes, displeasing others, keeping up with demands. His mind churned like a pot left boiling too long. The monk took him to a quiet pond. He dropped a stone in the water. Ripples spread wide and slow. Your mind is like this when stirred. The monk said, "But watch." They stood silently as the ripples smoothed themselves out. The servant felt something loosen around his chest. The quiet felt like medicine. His breath settled. You might have ripples too, thoughts that spread and keep spreading. But the mind knows how to calm when we stop poking the water. Even a restless pond can become still. Quiet grows when we stop stirring the waves. For 1 minute, picture a pond inside you and let its ripples gently settle. Story 11. A potter visited an old hermitage. Clay still drying on his hands. He confessed he lived with a constant fear of losing what he'd built his shop, his savings, his reputation. The fear kept him awake more nights than he admitted. An elder monk invited him to sit beside a small kiln. Inside, a pot glowed orange, then softened, then firmed again. The potter watched with quiet fascination. Clay changes shape many times before it becomes useful. The monk said softly, "Nothing stays fixed, not even fear." The potter exhaled slowly. He realized he had fought change so hard that he'd forgotten how natural it was. His shoulders eased as the fire crackled. He felt a rare moment of warmth inside. Maybe you've held on too tightly to job security, relationships, plans. It's human to cling, especially when life feels uncertain. But even clay becomes stronger after softening. What feels unstable now may still be forming its shape. For 1 minute, inhale gently, and on each exhale whisper inwardly, "I soften." Story 12. A scholar visited a seaside teacher, carrying thick scrolls and a heavier ego. He studied every idea, every text, yet felt no peace in his own life. His mind buzzed endlessly. The teacher walked him to the shore. A wave washed in and erased a long line drawn in the sand. The scholar frowned. "All knowledge is like this line." The teacher said, "Useful for a time, but not the whole sea." The wind lifted the scholar's sleeves. He felt small in a way that was strangely comforting. He finally let the waves wash over his ankles. The buzzing in his mind softened with the tide. Maybe your thoughts pile up to research, planning, mental lists that never end. Sometimes the simplest thing is to let a wave erase a few lines. You don't have to carry everything. Wisdom grows when the mind allows space. Sit still for 1 minute and imagine waves gently clearing your mental shoreline. Story 13. A young father came to a village monk, feeling worn thin. He whispered that he kept losing his temper with his children, then drowning in guilt afterward. He feared becoming the parent he never wanted to be. The monk led him to a field of young bamboo. Some stalks bent easily in the wind, others snapped. "See how the flexible ones survive," the monk said. The father touched a tender shoot. It wavered but didn't break. He breathed deeper, feeling his own tension soften. "Gentleness," the monk added, "begins with how you treat yourself." The man closed his eyes, letting regret loosen its grip. The field rustled around them like a lullaby. Maybe you've been hard on yourself too, expecting perfect patience, perfect calm. But the heart grows stronger when it bends, not when it breaks. You're allowed to be human. Self-kindness is the root of all gentleness. Place a hand over your heart for 1 minute and silently say, "I'm doing my best." Story 14. A soldier returning from war sought guidance in a mountain temple. He carried shame for things he'd done, and fear for the person he'd become. He avoided the monk's eyes. The monk sat with him by a slow-flowing river. "Dip your hands in," he said gently. The soldier obeyed. The water moved past his fingers without judgment. No pause. No hesitation, just flow. Tears rose quietly in the soldier's eyes. "The river doesn't hold what passes through it," the monk whispered. "You don't have to hold everything either." The soldier's breathing deepened. "Maybe you carry old memories too. Things you wish you'd done differently. You don't have to keep gripping each moment of the past. Let some of it pass through like water. Not everything that touches you must be held. For 1 minute, imagine your worries floating downstream, one by one." Story 15. A woman overwhelmed by financial struggles visited a countryside teacher. She felt as if she were always one step away from disaster. Her thoughts spiraled through every worst-case scenario. The teacher picked up a lantern and lit it. The flame glowed softly, reaching only a few steps ahead. "This is how life works," he said. "You only need enough light for the next step." The woman stared at the gentle glow. Her breath steadied. She realized she'd been trying to light an entire year all at once. The fear loosened just a little. She felt the ground beneath her feet again. Maybe you worry about the future too, Bills. Deadlines, responsibilities. But a single step can be enough for now. You don't have to illuminate everything. Walk by the light you have, not the light you wish for. Sit for 1 minute and mentally choose just one small step for tomorrow. Story 16. A monk in training complained that meditation made him restless. He expected instant calm, but instead felt every ache, every worry, every unfinished chore. He thought he was failing. His teacher showed him a snow globe. She shook it gently. Flakes swirled in a frantic blur. "This is your mind," she said. She set it down. Slowly, the flakes drifted towards stillness. The young monk's shoulders eased. He understood that stillness wasn't forced, it arrived when he stopped shaking the globe. The teacher smiled. "Maybe your mind has been swirling 2 tasks. Stress, overthinking. It's okay to let the flakes settle at their own pace. You don't have to control the speed. Calm grows when we stop stirring the mind. For 1 minute, imagine your thoughts settling like snowflakes in a globe." Story 17. A merchant grieving a broken friendship visited an old monk in the marketplace. He replayed every conversation, every misunderstanding, every hurt. The loss felt like a heavy stone in his chest. The monk handed him a handful of sand. "Hold it tightly," he said. Sand spilled through the merchant's clenched fingers. "Now hold it gently." The sand stayed. The merchant stared at his hand, surprised. When we grip pain too tightly, we lose even more, the monk said softly. The merchant let out a shuddered breath. Something in him softened. Maybe you're holding something too tightly tonight. Anger, regret, disappointment. A softer hold can let healing begin. You don't have to crush your own heart. What we hold gently stays. What we grip hard escapes us. For 1 minute, loosen your hands and breathe slowly into that softness. Story 18. A weary messenger arrived at a monastery gate after days on the road. His mind was scattered, and he feared forgetting his duties. He felt stretched thin, like fabric worn to threads. A monk invited him to sit beside a willow tree. The branches swayed lightly, bending without tearing. "This tree survives storms because it doesn't fight the wind," the monk said. The messenger watched the slender branches dance. His own breath began to sway with them, slow, gentle, rhythmic. He felt his chest unclench. He realized he'd been fighting every demand, resisting every task. The willow whispered a different way, a way with less strain. Maybe you've been resisting your own storms, plans changing, people needing you, life shifting fast. But you don't have to fight every wind. Sometimes bending is enough. Strength can look soft. For 1 minute, sway your breathing, slightly longer out-breaths than in-breaths. Story 19. A young villager feared speaking in public. His voice trembled. His heart raced. And he felt small. He asked a village monk for help. The monk handed him a single bell. "Ring it," he said. The bell chimed. Clear and simple. "Now listen," the monk whispered. They waited until the final note faded into silence. The monk smiled. "No sound lasts forever," he said. "Neither does fear." The villager felt a small courage rising. He realized he only needed to begin like striking a bell. The rest could unfold naturally. His shoulders lifted with a quiet breath. Maybe you fear certain moments too, speaking up, making choices, being seen. Remember, fear rings, then fades. You just need the first note. Courage begins with one small sound. For 1 minute, breathe and imagine a soft bell ringing inside you. Story 20. A shopkeeper visited a temple feeling burned out. He worked long hours, helping everyone but himself. He felt drained, as if every task stole a little more of his energy. A monk brought him to a small fountain. Water flowed endlessly, clear and cool. "See how it gives without emptying," the monk said. The shopkeeper dipped his hands in. Freshness spread through him. He sighed deeply. "The fountain flows because it's connected to a source," the monk continued. "When you disconnect from yours, you feel dry." The shopkeeper nodded slowly. "Maybe you've poured yourself out too much lately, family. Work, obligations. You deserve connection to your own inner well. Even one quiet moment can replenish you. Giving works best when you stay connected to your source. For 1 minute, place a hand on your belly and breathe into your own center." Story 21. A young carpenter visited an old monk at dusk. His business was growing, yet he felt constantly restless. He feared disappointing customers and feared slowing down even more. The monk handed him a wooden plank. "Run your hand along this," he said. The carpenter felt the grain smooth in some places, rough in others. "Wood is never perfect," the monk murmured. "It becomes useful because of its flaws, not despite them." The carpenter paused. He'd been chasing smoothness everywhere: work, relationships, his own habits. Suddenly, the knots in the wood felt reassuring, natural, real. A soft breath left his chest. His shoulders finally dropped. He realized he didn't need to sand down every part of his life. Maybe you've been trying to perfect everything too: projects, conversations, even your own moods. But knots belong in the grain, and so do yours. Life doesn't need to be flawless to be meaningful. For 1 minute, touch your fingertips together and let yourself be imperfect on purpose. Story 22. A village teenager felt overwhelmed with choices: career, school, expectations. He visited a quiet nun who tended a small garden behind the monastery. His voice wavered as he confessed he feared choosing wrong. The nun pointed to rows of different sprouts. "Do you see them worrying?" she asked. He shook his head. "They grow because they start," she said gently. not because they know exactly how. The boy stared at the fragile shoots. A breeze stirred them, yet they stayed rooted. He felt his own breath deepen. His mind loosened just a little. He didn't need a perfect plan, only a beginning. The garden felt like a soft whisper of reassurance. The fear thinned. Maybe you've faced too many choices, 2 career shifts, moves, life paths. You don't need a perfect answer tonight. You only need one small direction. Growth begins with one simple start. For 1 minute. Imagine planting one single seed of tomorrow's action. Story 23. A fisherman, exhausted by storms and bills, visited a mountain monk. He confessed he was losing faith in his own resilience. Everything felt heavy, like ropes pulling him down. The monk gave him a smooth river stone. Try sinking this in a cup of water, he said. The stone sank immediately. Then the monk added salt to the cup. The fisherman watched the water shift, lighten, lift. Eventually, the stone rose to the surface. Conditions change outcomes. The monk said softly, "You're not sinking, you're tired." The fisherman's throat tightened. Relief washed through him like a tide coming home. He realized he had blamed himself instead of the storms. An ease settled in his chest. Maybe you've been blaming your own strength too when life simply piled too much on. You're not weak. You're weathering. Your sinking moments are often just stormy conditions. For 1 minute, breathe slowly and say inwardly, "I rise when the storm passes." Story 24. A mother caring for an aging parent felt drained. She visited a forest temple seeking a moment of peace. Her eyes carried equal parts love and exhaustion. A monk handed her 2 buckets, one full, one empty. "Carry them around the courtyard," he said. She struggled with the full one. When she returned, he asked, "Which was lighter?" "The empty one," she replied. He nodded gently. "You've been carrying your care full of worry," he said. "Try carrying it with love. Instead, love weighs less." Her eyes softened. Something inside her shifted. Her breath steadied in her chest. The forest felt warmer around her. Maybe you're carrying heavy responsibilities too. Family, work, expectations. Worry makes any duty heavier than it needs to be. Let love lighten even a small corner of it. Love weighs less than fear. Hold your hands together for 1 minute and imagine placing one burden in a lighter bucket. Story 25. A young monk struggled with jealousy toward a fellow student. He couldn't admit it aloud, but it burned quietly inside him. He felt ashamed of the feeling. The abbot led him to a pond at sunrise. The water reflected 2 clouds drifting across the sky. "Which cloud is better?" the abbot asked. The monk frowned. "They're just clouds," he said. The abbot smiled. "Then let your thoughts be clouds too," he murmured. "Passing, not comparing." The monk felt his chest loosen. He watched the clouds drift, merge, dissolve. Jealousy softened the way mist fades in morning sun. His breath deepened. Maybe you've compared yourself lately. Jobs, families, strengths, luck. But clouds don't compete, and neither do hearts, unless we teach them to. Comparison fades when you let thoughts drift. For 1 minute, picture your jealous or comparing thought floating by like a cloud. Story 26. A merchant weighed down by debt sought help from a wandering monk. He felt trapped, ashamed, and scared about tomorrow. The burden lived in his stomach like a stone. The monk drew a circle in the dirt. "Step inside," he said. The merchant did. "This is your fear." The monk said, "Now step out." The man stepped beyond the line. "This is your life," the monk whispered, "bigger than fear." The merchant felt a tiny breath of relief. He saw that his situation was real, but not the whole story. The sky above him felt larger than his worries. Something softened around his ribs. Maybe money pressure has tightened around you too. But your life is bigger than the numbers. Your story extends beyond the circle. Fear is a moment, not your whole life. For 1 minute, imagine stepping out of a small circle of worry. Story 27. A nun in training felt overwhelmed by responsibilities. She juggled chores, lessons, duties, and expectations. Her mind buzzed like a beehive. Her teacher handed her a single leaf. "Hold this," he said. She balanced it carefully on her palm. "Now walk," he added. She took slow steps, focusing only on the leaf. Her breath softened. "Tonight," he said, "make your whole life this leaf." The nun felt tension drain from her shoulders. One thing at a time suddenly felt possible. The hive in her mind quieted. Her eyes grew calmer. She finally smiled. Maybe your days are crowded too, tasks stacked on each other. Let one small thing be your leaf tonight. Give your mind space to breathe. Focus brings peace where overwhelm once lived. For 1 minute, choose one single task to hold gently in your mind. Story 28. A traveler complained to a hermit that people constantly disappointed him. Friends were unreliable, co-workers frustrating, strangers rude. He felt drained by everyone. The hermit poured water into a clear bowl. "Look," he said. The traveler saw his own reflection. "Now," the hermit added, stirring with a twig. The reflection warped. The traveler frowned. When the bowl shakes, everything seems distorted. The hermit said, but nothing outside changed. The traveler's breath softened. He realized his own agitation had colored every encounter. The world hadn't been cruel, his lens had been clouded. A small humility warmed him. Maybe you've had days where everyone felt difficult. Sometimes the bowl just needs time to settle. Your reflection clears on its own. A calm mind sees people more kindly. For 1 minute, imagine your inner bowl settling into stillness. Story 29. A tired teacher felt unappreciated. She worked late hours, poured herself into her students, and still doubted her impact. She came to a village monk for reassurance. The monk lit a single candle. "Does this candle know whom it warms?" he asked. The teacher shook her head. "Yet the warmth still spreads," he said softly. She watched the small flame flicker. Light touched the farthest corner of the room. She felt something catch in her throat. Maybe she didn't need proof of her impact, only trust in the warmth she gave. Her breath deepened. The flame glowed steady. Her eyes softened with it. She felt seen. Maybe you too give more than anyone knows. Your warmth travels farther than you think. Your quiet efforts still light the room. Hold a gentle smile for 1 minute and imagine your warmth touching someone who needs it. Story 30. A monk troubled by indecision visited his teacher. Every choice, big or small, froze him in place. He feared choosing wrong, feared regret, feared the unknown. The teacher pointed to a fork in a forest path. "Pick one," he said. The monk hesitated. "Walk 5 steps." The monk finally chose the left path and walked. The ground felt firm beneath his feet. "Now look back," the teacher said. The monk turned. Both paths still lay behind him. Neither had vanished. Choice does not erase possibility, the teacher whispered. The monk's tightness eased. 5 steps had taught him more than days of worry. Maybe you've been stuck between options too. One gentle choice won't destroy the other path. You can always adjust as you go. Movement matters more than perfect certainty. For 1 minute, picture taking 5 quiet steps down your chosen path. Story 31. A monk grew frustrated with meditation. Every session filled his mind with chores, memories, and worries. He feared he lacked discipline. His teacher handed him a jar and a small handful of pebbles. "Drop 1 pebble each time your mind wanders," he said. The monk began. Soon the jar clicked with sound after sound. He felt embarrassed, too many pebbles. His teacher smiled softly. "Good," he said. "This means you noticed. Noticing is the practice." The monk felt a warmth rise in his chest. His tension melted a little. He saw his wandering not as failure, but awareness. The jar felt like a friend. Maybe your thoughts scatter at night too, but noticing is already a gentle step toward peace. Nothing is wrong with you. Awareness is the heart of practice. For 1 minute, simply notice each thought that appears, without pushing any away. Story 32. A farmer came to a wandering sage with anger burning in his chest. His neighbor had spoken harshly to him, and he replayed the moment for days. Sleep escaped him. The sage handed him a cup of hot tea. "Hold it tight," he said. The farmer gripped it and winced at the heat. "Let go," the sage murmured. The farmer set it down. The sting eased. The pain wasn't in the tea, the sage said softly. It was in the holding. The farmer's breath grew slower. He realized he had been gripping his anger the same way. His shoulders softened. A quiet forgiveness stirred within him. Maybe you've held on to a hot memory too long. Letting go doesn't excuse the moment it frees your hands. Pain fades when you release what burns. For 1 minute, picture setting down a hot cup you no longer need to hold. Story 33. A young apprentice feared speaking up. He worried his ideas were foolish. He stayed quiet, even when he knew the answer. An elder monk took him to a nearby lake. They tossed small stones across the surface. Ripples stretched outward in widening circles. "See how far a small touch travels?" the monk asked. The apprentice nodded gently. He felt a stir of courage. "Your voice is like this," the monk continued. "Even a small ripple matters." The apprentice exhaled, long and slow. His chest felt lighter. He imagined his words reaching someone who needed them. The fear loosened. Maybe you've swallowed your thoughts too. Afraid of judgment. Your ripple may be exactly what someone else needs. Even quiet voices can travel far. For 1 minute, whisper 1 sentence you wish you could say. Story 34. A merchant obsessed with productivity visited an old nun. He felt guilty any time he wasn't working. Even rest felt like failure. The nun poured water into a cup until it overflowed. The merchant jumped back. She looked at him calmly. "Your days are like this cup," she said. "When you never stop, everything spills." He swallowed hard. He noticed how tired he was deep in the bones. The nun handed him an empty cup. "Begin again," she whispered. He breathed, slow and shaky. A softness returned to his face. He felt human again. Maybe you push yourself past fullness too. Rest is not waste, It's clearing space. An overfilled life can't hold anything more. For 1 minute. Breathe out longer than you breathe in. Story 35. A monk grieved the loss of a friend. He felt a hollow ache in his chest, like something missing. He feared the sadness would never end. His teacher gave him a lantern and lit it. They carried it through the dark garden. Shadows stretched around them. "Does the lantern remove the night?" the teacher asked. The monk shook his head. "But it helps you walk," the teacher said. The monk felt tears rise, then soften. Grief didn't need to vanish. He just needed a light to walk with it. The lantern glowed warm against his palms. His sadness remained, but gentler. He felt less alone. Maybe you're carrying an old sorrow too. You don't have to banish it, just bring a little light along. Grief softens when you walk with it gently. For 1 minute, place a hand on your chest and breathe warm light into the ache. Story 36. A woman troubled by guilt visited a hermit. She replayed mistakes from years ago. Her nights were restless. The hermit gave her a small broom. "Sweep this path," he said. She started brushing away leaves. More leaves fell from the trees above. She frowned. "It will never stay clean." He nodded. "Like the mind," he said. "Old moments blow in again and again." She paused, broom in hand. She realized sweeping wasn't failure, it was care. Her breath deepened. Her guilt loosened its grip. Maybe you've carried old regrets like stubborn leaves. You don't need a perfect mind. Just a gentle sweep now and then. Clearing the mind is a practice, not a permanent state. For 1 minute. Imagine brushing one old regret gently aside. Story 37. A monk doubted whether kindness mattered. People take advantage. He complained. He felt worn out by giving. His teacher led him to a cliff overlooking the sea. He tossed a pebble into the waves. The pebble vanished instantly. "See," the monk said, "nothing lasts." The teacher smiled. "Look again," he whispered. The monk watched. Tiny ripples still moved across the water. "Kindness is like this," the teacher said. "You may not see the pebble, but the waves continue." The monk's breath softened. He felt a quiet reassurance bloom. Maybe his small acts mattered more than he knew. Maybe your kindnesses have felt invisible too. But ripples travel, even when you can't see them. Kindness keeps moving long after the moment ends. For 1 minute. Remember one quiet kindness you gave today. Story 38. A novice worried constantly about the future. He feared loss, change, and the unknown. His sleep was thin. An older monk handed him a loaf of bread. "Eat only the first slice," he said. The novice did. "Now worry about the last slice," the monk said. The novice blinked in confusion. "But I can't. I'm not there yet." "Exactly," the monk said, smiling softly. "Life is eaten one small piece at a time." The novice's face warmed. He breathed deeply, tasting the moment more fully. Tomorrow felt less monstrous, less loud. He felt grounded. Maybe your future feels too big at night, but you only live one slice at a time. Today is the only piece you need to hold. For 1 minute. Breathe and name 3 things that are true right now. Story 39. A woman felt weighed down by shame from past choices. She came to a mountain hermit, seeking relief. Her voice trembled as she spoke. The hermit handed her a heavy stone. "Carry this to the stream," he said. She struggled under the weight. When she reached the water, he said. Drop it. She let it fall. The splash felt like release. Did the stone resist? He asked. She shook her head. You have been holding what no longer holds you. Her eyes filled with tears, this time softer. Her breath opened in her chest. The shame loosened. Maybe you've carried a stone too. It's okay to let it slip from your hands. What you release stops weighing you down. For 1 minute, picture dropping one heavy thought into calm water. Story 40. A monk feared time slipping away. He felt behind in life, behind in goals, behind in everything. The pressure tightened around him. His teacher guided him to a tall tree. Touch the bark, he said. The monk placed his palm on it. Feel how slowly it grew. The teacher murmured, yet it stands strong. The monk breathed in the earthy scent. Your life is not late. The teacher continued. It is growing at its own pace. The monk's shoulders softened. He realized rushing never added a single ring to the tree. Patience felt possible again. A quiet calm settled in. Maybe you felt behind too, but your growth is still happening. Ring by ring, life unfolds at its natural pace. Not your anxious one. For 1 minute, breathe slowly and imagine adding one calm ring to your inner tree. Story 41. A monk struggled with jealousy. Whenever others succeeded, his chest tightened and his mind spun. He felt ashamed of this secret envy. His teacher brought him to a garden at dawn. They watched sunlight touch each flower. One by one, some opened quickly, others slowly. Does one bloom steal from another? The teacher asked. The monk shook his head softly. They simply open when it's their time. The monk breathed more easily. He felt the tightness in his chest begin to loosen. There was space for everyone to bloom. He realized his own pace didn't threaten anyone else's, and their pace didn't diminish him. A quiet peace slipped in. Maybe you've compared yourself too, but your bloom has its own hour. Another's light does not dim your own. For 1 minute, picture yourself as a single flower, opening gently in morning light. Story 42. A young householder came to a wise nun feeling overwhelmed. Work, children, debts, endless tasks. Everything felt like too much. She feared she would break. The nun placed a single grain of rice on her palm. Is this heavy? The nun asked. The woman laughed. Of course not. The nun added another grain, then another. Slowly, the pile grew. Soon the woman felt the weight shift. It's not the grain, the nun whispered. It's the accumulation. The woman's eyes softened. She realized she'd been carrying her days without pause. Even small things stack up. She exhaled long and quietly. Maybe you know this weight too. Tiny stresses adding up until your hands shake. Many small burdens can feel like one great one. For 1 minute, name just one task you can release or postpone tomorrow. Story 43. A monk wrestled with self-doubt. He felt unworthy of training, unworthy of calm, unworthy of kindness. His shoulders sagged from carrying such thoughts. His teacher brought him to a still pond. Say something unkind to yourself, the teacher said. The monk whispered his harshest belief. Now look, the teacher urged. The water remained clear and open. Nothing changed. The teacher smiled gently. The water doesn't agree with you. The monk felt a warmth travel through him. He realized the harsh voice wasn't truth, just habit. The pond reflected his face kindly. Without judgment, his breath grew steadier. Maybe you speak to yourself in tones you'd never use for a friend, but your true reflection is calmer, softer. Not every inner voice deserves belief. For 1 minute, say one kind sentence to yourself, softly. Story 44. A man burdened by constant rushing visited an elder monk. He hurried everywhere: work, errands, even meals. His life felt like one long sprint. The monk invited him on a short walk. They moved slowly along a quiet path. Birdsong drifted overhead. After a while, the man grew restless. "Are we going somewhere?" he asked. The monk chuckled softly. "We are already there," he replied. The man blinked, puzzled. Then he felt his breath deepen. His legs softened. His mind quieted just a little. The world seemed gentler at this slower pace. Maybe you live in a rush too, but arriving can happen even while standing still. Slowing down lets life meet you where you are. For 1 minute, walk slowly, just a few steps with no goal but moving gently. Story 45. A monk feared making mistakes. He avoided challenges, conversations, even simple tasks. His life shrank around him. His teacher handed him a cracked bowl. "Would you use this?" the teacher asked. The monk nodded. "Of course. It still holds water," the teacher said softly. "Just like you." The monk swallowed hard. He ran his fingers along the cracks. They made the bowl unique, weathered, alive. He felt his fear loosen. He realized mistakes didn't ruin him, they shaped him. His breath settled into his belly. He felt room to try again. Maybe you're afraid to crack too, but flaws don't end your usefulness or your beauty. Imperfection still holds plenty of life. For 1 minute, name one past mistake that helped you grow, even a little. Story 46. A woman visited a hermit with a restless mind. She worried endlessly about what others thought of her. Even praise made her anxious. The hermit gave her a small bell. "Shake it," he said. She did. Its sound rang bright and clear. "Now cover it with a cloth and shake again." The bell's sound dulled, muffled. The hermit smiled. "Others' opinions are like the cloth," he said. "They touch you, but they don't define your sound." A slow breath left her. Her shoulders relaxed. She felt her own tone beneath the noise of others. A quiet confidence returned. Maybe you've been wrapped in others' judgments too. Your inner bell still rings. Your true sound lives beneath others' opinions. For 1 minute, place your hand on your chest and feel your own steady rhythm. Story 47. A monk feared disappointment. He expected perfection from himself, from life, from every moment. This left him exhausted. His teacher brought him to watch fishermen by the river. Some cast lines patiently. Some pulled in empty nets. "Are they failures?" the teacher asked. The monk shook his head. "They're just fishing." The teacher smiled. "Life is like this. Some days you catch something. Some days you don't." The monk felt his breath soften. He realized he could show up without demanding perfect results. The water shimmered gently beside him. Peace seeped in. Maybe you've felt pressure to catch success every time. It's okay to cast gently, without guarantees. Showing up matters more than perfect outcomes. For 1 minute, relax your hands and imagine casting one simple intention into the day. Story 48. A layman troubled by resentment came to an old nun. He replayed arguments in his head, gripping them like heavy ropes. The weight made him irritable and tired. The nun handed him 2 stones. "Hold these while we talk," she said. He held them tightly as she spoke. Minutes passed. His arms grew weary. The stones felt heavier with time. "Let them go," she finally whispered. He dropped them with a soft thud. Relief washed over him. "Your mind holds grudges the same way," she said. "Letting go lightens everything." His shoulders softened. "Maybe you've held stones too long. Your hands deserve rest. Resentment burdens the one who carries it." For 1 minute. Inhale ease. Exhale one old grudge, just a little. Story 49. A monk felt lost in comparison. He admired others' wisdom and skill, believing he had none. This dimmed his confidence. His teacher brought him to a night hillside. They looked at the sky sprinkled with stars. Some burned bright, others faint. "Are the faint stars useless?" the teacher asked. The monk shook his head. "They're all part of the sky." The teacher nodded. "Each shines in its own way." Warmth spread through the monk's chest. He felt permission to glow in his own measure. The night sky seemed kinder than his thoughts. He breathed deeply. Maybe you dim yourself when looking at others, but you are part of the sky too. Every light belongs. For 1 minute. Imagine your own small star shining steadily. Story 50. A woman wrestled with regret for words spoken in anger. She feared she had ruined a friendship. Her heart felt heavy. An elder monk took her to a field of tall grass. He asked her to release a handful of feathers into the wind. They scattered instantly. He then said, "Now gather them again." She looked helplessly at the swaying field. "It's impossible," she whispered. He nodded. "Words are like this." Her breath tightened, then softened. "But you can offer sincerity," he added quietly. "Honesty has its own wind." Her eyes warmed with relief. "Maybe you wish you could gather old words too. You can still speak truth now. You cannot retrieve old words, but you can offer new honesty. For 1 minute. Think of one sincere sentence you could offer someone you care about. Story 51. A monk felt ashamed of his anger. Even small frustrations lit sparks inside him. He worried he was unfit for practice. His teacher led him to a quiet courtyard. A candle flickered gently in the breeze. "Touch the flame," the teacher said. The monk flinched back. "It burns," he whispered. The teacher nodded softly. "Anger is like this," he said. "It warns you before it harms you." The monk breathed slowly. He realized anger wasn't an enemy, just a signal. Its heat told him when something needed care. His chest loosened. Maybe your temper has startled you too. It doesn't mean you're bad, just human. Anger is a message, not a mistake. For 1 minute. Notice where your body tightens when frustrated, without judgment. Story 52. A young novice felt invisible. He watched older monks praised for their work. His own efforts seemed unnoticed. His teacher brought him to a grove of bamboo. Some stalks towered high. Others barely reached his waist. The teacher tapped a small stalk. "This one grows underground for years before rising," he said. "It builds strength where no one sees." The novice's eyes softened. He imagined his quiet efforts as roots, steady, unseen, preparing him. A gentle pride warmed him from within. He no longer felt small, just growing. Maybe you've worked quietly with no recognition. Your roots still matter. Invisible growth is still growth. For 1 minute. Acknowledge one quiet effort you made today. Story 53. A woman carried fear like a stone in her stomach. She feared change, feared loss, feared the unknown. Her sleep felt thin and restless. A wandering sage handed her a lantern. Light travels only a few steps ahead, he said, yet it's enough to keep moving. She held the lantern close. The glow softened the night around her. Her breath steadied. She realized she didn't need to see everything, just the nearby path. Her fear felt lighter, almost manageable. A quiet courage stirred. Maybe your future feels too dark sometimes. A small light is still light. You only need enough clarity for the next few steps. For 1 minute. Picture a lantern glowing a few feet ahead of you. Story 54. A monk felt burdened by responsibility. He tried to help everyone, but grew exhausted. His compassion left him drained. His teacher placed 2 buckets before him. One was full, one empty. Pour from the empty bucket, the teacher said. The monk frowned. I can't, it has nothing. His teacher nodded. Yet this is what you try to do each day. The monk's shoulders sagged. He saw the truth. He needed to fill himself before giving to others. His breath deepened. Steady and slow, he felt a small spark return. Maybe you've given past your limits too. Rest is part of caring. You cannot pour from an empty bucket. For 1 minute, place a hand over your heart and breathe gently as if refilling a vessel. Story 55. A traveler felt bitter about past disappointments. He carried old hurts like souvenirs. They weighed down every step. An old monk offered him a cup of water. He sprinkled a pinch of salt into it. Taste, he said. The traveler grimaced at the bitterness. Then the monk led him to a lake. He sprinkled the same salt into the water. Now taste, he said. The traveler cupped his hands and sipped. It tasted clear. The bitterness didn't change. The monk said, you just placed it in something larger. Understanding dawned. Maybe you hold bitterness in a small cup too. Widening your world softens the taste. Pain shrinks when your life grows bigger than it. For 1 minute, picture your mind as a vast lake, spacious enough for old hurts to dissolve. Story 56. A monk struggled with impatience. Every delay irritated him. Every obstacle felt like an insult. His teacher invited him to watch a cocoon. Days passed with no change. The monk felt restless. Then, one morning, the cocoon trembled. A butterfly slowly emerged. Wings soft and crumpled. It took hours before it could fly. If rushed, the teacher said, it would never survive. The monk swallowed gently. His heartbeat slowed. He realized growth requires time, not force. His impatience softened into quiet respect. A small peace unfolded within him. Maybe you've wanted something to hurry up. 2. Things unfold when they're ready. Patience protects the unfolding. For 1 minute, breathe and imagine a small wing slowly unfurling. Story 57. A woman felt tangled in worry. Her mind spun every possible outcome. She felt trapped in loops she couldn't stop. A roaming monk handed her a rope. Pull, he said. She tugged and the knot tightened. Pull harder, he encouraged. She pulled and the knot grew even tighter. Frustration rose. He then said softly, stop pulling, loosen. She slowly worked the knot open with gentle fingers. Relief washed through her. Worry, she realized, tightened with force and eased with softness. Her breath settled. Her mind felt less crowded. Maybe your worries tighten when you pull too hard. Gentleness helps them unwind. Softness untangles what force cannot. For 1 minute, relax your jaw and hands. Let them loosen like a knot coming undone. Story 58. A monk felt stuck in monotony. His days looked the same: chores, meditation, meals. He feared life was passing him by. His teacher took him to a river. The surface seemed unchanged, but beneath, water moved endlessly. The river looked still. The teacher said, "But it is always flowing." The monk gazed deeper. He realized his own days held quiet movement too. Small shifts, subtle lessons, unnoticed moments. His chest lifted softly. He felt grateful for the slow flow of life. Not stagnant, just steady. A gentle ease returned. Maybe your days feel repetitive too, but change moves beneath the surface. Even steady days carry quiet movement. For 1 minute, notice 3 small things that shifted in your life today. Story 59. A man obsessed with control visited a hermit. He planned every detail of his life, yet nothing ever went exactly his way. The hermit showed him a garden gate swinging in the breeze. Try to hold it perfectly still. The hermit said. The man struggled, wind kept moving it. Frustration rose in his chest. The hermit gently closed the gate's latch. The movement stopped. You guide what you can, he said quietly, and let the wind handle the rest. The man's breath eased. He realized control wasn't domination, just wise choosing. His shoulders relaxed. A calmer balance settled in. Maybe you try to hold everything still too, but some things belong to the wind. Control what's yours. Release what's not. For 1 minute, mentally sort today's problems into mine and not mine. Story 60. A monk felt defeated by his own mind. Every time he tried to meditate, old memories surfaced. He believed he was failing. His teacher brought him to a field at dusk. Fireflies blinked on and off, scattered everywhere. Try to stop them, the teacher said. The monk laughed helplessly. I can't, he said. They move on their own. So does the mind. The teacher replied, your job is simply to watch the light. The monk felt a warm stillness. He stopped fighting his thoughts and let them flicker. His breath deepened. Peace came quietly. Maybe your mind lights up with memories too. Just watch, no chasing. Thoughts rise and fade like fireflies. For 1 minute, sit and let your thoughts blink in and out without grabbing any. Story 61. A novice felt overwhelmed by choices. Every path looked uncertain. He feared choosing the wrong one. His teacher handed him a small stone. Throw it, he said. The novice tossed it gently forward. They walked to where it landed. Now throw again, the teacher said. Step by step, stone by stone. They crossed the field. The novice realized he didn't need to plan the whole journey, only the next step. His chest loosened. His breath deepened. He felt calm for the first time in weeks. A single step suddenly felt manageable. The future, less frightening. Maybe you're staring at too many paths too. Start with one small stone. You only need to decide the next step, not the whole path. For 1 minute, choose just one tiny action you can take today. Story 62. A woman felt ashamed of her tears. She tried to hide them, believing they showed weakness. But the heaviness inside her grew heavier. An elderly monk gave her a small wooden bowl. Fill it with water from your tears, he said gently. She cried freely for the first time in months. When she finished, he held the bowl up to the sunlight. The water shimmered with tiny rainbows. Your tears are not shame, he said. They are sunlight, waiting to be seen. Her shoulders softened. A quiet relief warmed her chest. She felt lighter, more honest. Maybe you've hidden your hurting too. Your tears are simply truth. Tears are not weakness, they're release. For 1 minute, breathe deeply and allow any emotion to rise without judgment. Story 63. A monk feared he was too old to change. His habits felt set like stone. He envied the younger monk's flexibility. His teacher led him to a cliffside. Weathered rocks stood along the edge. One stone had a deep, smooth groove in it. Do you know what made this? The teacher asked. A single drop of water, he said, falling over and over, year after year. The monk touched the groove gently. A small spark of hope warmed him. He saw that change came not from youth, but from persistence. His breath became steady and sure. He walked back with renewed courage. Maybe you feel it's too late for change too, but water proves otherwise. Small efforts, repeated, reshape even stone. For 1 minute, commit to one small habit you can gently repeat. Story 64. A young man wanted happiness to stay forever. He clung to good moments tightly, but the more he clung, the quicker they slipped away. A traveling monk invited him to hold sand. Grip it hard, the monk said. The sand leaked through his fingers. Now hold it gently. This time, most of the sand stayed. His eyes widened with understanding. Happiness, he realized, was like this, something to cradle, not crush. He felt relief, not fear, in letting life ebb and flow. His heart softened into gratitude. Maybe you try to hold on to joy too tightly. Gentle hands keep more than clenched fists. Happiness stays longer when held lightly. For 1 minute, imagine joy resting softly in your open palm. Story 65. A monk felt tormented by comparison. He measured his progress against everyone else. It left him exhausted and discouraged. His teacher gave each monk a candle. At night, he lit them all. Some burned tall and bright. Some flickered quietly. Some barely glowed. These candles are all different, the teacher said, but each gives light. The monk realized he didn't need to outshine others, just shine in his own way. A warm humility rose in his chest. He felt free from competition. Maybe comparison has dimmed your light too. You only need to be your candle. Light is still light, no matter its size. For 1 minute, speak one kind truth to yourself. Story 66. A woman felt constantly rushed. She moved quickly, thought quickly, even rested quickly. Life felt like a race she couldn't win. A monk handed her a cup of hot tea. Drink it fast, he said. She gulped and burned her tongue. He smiled gently. Now sip slowly. The warmth filled her chest softly, soothingly. She realized speed was sometimes painful, while slowness was nourishing. Her breath slowed, her shoulders relaxed. She felt time stretching gently around her. The race dissolved into presence. Maybe you rush through moments too. Slow sipping changes everything. Slowness heals what hurry harms. For 1 minute, do one action: breathing, drinking, touching a surface at half speed. Story 67. A monk was haunted by guilt. He regretted mistakes from long ago. Their shadows followed him everywhere. His teacher took him to a fire pit. Place a stick in the fire, he instructed. The stick slowly turned to ash. Now lift the ash, the teacher said. It crumbled instantly in the monk's hands. Some things, the teacher said softly, burn themselves out when you stop carrying them. The monk inhaled shakily. He felt the weight in his chest dissolve just a little. A sense of forgiveness not from others, but from himself arose quietly. Maybe guilt clings to you too. Let the fire finish its work. Old guilt becomes ash when you stop holding it. For 1 minute, imagine placing one regret into a small fire. Story 68. A woman felt disconnected from the world. People moved around her, but she felt distant, like glass separated her from life. A monk invited her to sit beneath a tree. They listened: birds, wind, leaves stirring. Life is speaking, he whispered. Stay long enough to hear it. Slowly, the barrier she felt began to thin. The world's sounds seeped softly into her. Her breath synchronized with the wind. She felt, for the first time in months, part of something living. The glass dissolved. Warm belonging settled in her chest. Maybe you feel far from the world sometimes. Stillness brings you back. Connection begins with listening. For 1 minute, close your eyes and listen to the closest sound. Story 69. A monk doubted his own worth. He felt ordinary, unremarkable. He wondered if he mattered at all. His teacher handed him a single seed. It looks small, the teacher said, but it holds forests inside. The monk rolled the seed between his fingers. He felt its quiet potential. A gentle pride sparked. He realized value wasn't about size or spectacle, but possibility, intention, and growth. He felt rooted again. Maybe you've questioned your worth too. But seeds don't need to be big to be powerful. Small things can hold immense potential. For 1 minute, imagine a seed planted in your heart, slowly sprouting. Story 70. A traveler feared starting over. He had lost much work, relationships, direction. Beginning again felt impossible. A sage brought him to a coastline at dawn. The waves erased footprints along the shore. Watch, the sage said. Soon, new footprints appeared as they walked. See, ending is just clearing space, he said. Every tide makes room for a new beginning. The traveler felt tears gather, but this time, they were full of hope. A soft courage stirred inside him. He realized the shoreline always welcomes new steps. His life could too. Maybe you fear beginning again, but tides teach renewal. Every ending clears space for a new step. For 1 minute, imagine waves erasing old paths and revealing fresh sand. Story 71. A monk felt restless during meditation. His body fidgeted. His thoughts scattered. He worried something was wrong with him. His teacher led him to a pond at dusk. Look at the water, he said. The surface rippled with wind and insects. Is the pond broken? He asked. The monk shook his head. It is simply stirred, the teacher said. They waited. Slowly the ripples softened. The surface grew still enough to reflect the moon. The monk realized his mind was the same, not broken, only unsettled. Stillness would come on its own. Maybe your thoughts feel stirred too. Give them time. Restlessness is temporary when you stop fighting it. For 1 minute, place a hand on your chest and let your thoughts drift without chasing them. Story 72. A householder came to the Buddha, anxious about aging. Lines on his face worried him. He feared losing strength. Relevance. Opportunity. The Buddha pointed to an old banyan tree. Its roots twisted with age. Its trunk weathered. Broad. Deeply scarred. See how it shelters the young ones beneath it. He said, age is not loss, it is expansion. The man placed his hand on the tree's bark. He felt its roughness, its warmth, its dignity. A quiet acceptance loosened the fear inside him. He breathed more fully. The future felt less threatening, more natural. Maybe aging stirs anxiety in you too, but age deepens what youth only begins. Growing older adds layers, not limits. For 1 minute, appreciate one thing experience has strengthened in you. Story 73. A woman felt consumed by regret. Memories replayed endlessly. She called them her ghosts. The Buddha listened patiently. Then he picked up a stick from the ground. He used it to write a word in the dirt. Wind brushed across the clearing. Slowly, the writing faded. Regret is like this, he said, written on earth, not carved in rock. The woman watched the last trace disappear. A soft relief spread through her chest. Her ghosts felt less frightening, more dissolvable. Maybe your mind replays old moments too. But wind still works quietly. Regret fades when you stop rewriting it. For 1 minute, imagine the wind clearing one old memory from the sand. Story 74. A monk struggled with anger. Tiny frustrations exploded inside him. He feared he'd never find peace. His teacher gave him a clay pot. Fill it with water, he said. The monk did, and the pot became heavy. Carry it all day. By evening, the monk's arms shook. He set the pot down with relief. That is your anger. The teacher said, even small things grow heavy when carried. The monk felt the truth land in his heart. Letting go was not noble, it was necessary. Maybe you carry small angers too. Your arms deserve rest. What you put down weighs nothing. For 1 minute, exhale as if setting something heavy on the ground. Story 75. A merchant asked the Buddha why happiness slipped away so easily. He chased success, praise, comfort, yet felt empty. The Buddha pointed to a passing cloud. Try to grab it, he said. The merchant laughed. It was impossible. And yet you try every day. The Buddha said, clouds drift. Feel them. Don't grasp them. The merchant gazed upward. He felt something soften, an unclenching he hadn't realized he needed. The sky seemed kinder, wider. His heart loosened from its chasing. A quiet satisfaction replaced it. Maybe you chase drifting things too. Let the sky be sky. Happiness settles when grasping stops. For 1 minute, imagine your hands opening and a cloud passing through. Story 76. A monk complained constantly about food, chores, weather, everything. His mind fixated on what was wrong. The Buddha asked him to carry a cup of salt water. Drink, he said. It was unbearably bitter. Then the Buddha led him to a lake. Pour the salt here. The monk tasted the lake water. Fresh, cool, balanced. When your mind is small, the Buddha said, even a little bitterness overwhelms it. The monk inhaled deeply. He felt his world widen just a little. Bitterness lost its grip. Maybe your mind shrinks under stress too. Widen the lake. expand your view, and bitterness softens. For 1 minute, picture your awareness widening like ripples across a lake. Story 77. A farmer was furious at a neighbor. Their boundary line had shifted in a storm. He wanted the Buddha to confirm he was right. The Buddha listened quietly. Then he held up an empty bowl. "See how light it is," he said. He filled it with stones. "Now see how heavy it becomes. Your anger adds stones." He said, "Put them in, and you must carry them." The farmer's rage lost some heat. He didn't want to carry a bowl of stones anymore. He felt a shaky breath leave him. A small peace entered its place. Maybe you've held unnecessary stones too. It's okay to set them down. Anger burdens the one who holds it. For 1 minute, imagine lifting one stone from your bowl and leaving it behind. Story 78. A woman felt unseen in her family. Her efforts went unnoticed. She wondered if she mattered at all. The Buddha took her to a grove. A single lamp hung from a tree. Its glow reached far into the darkness. "No one praises the lamp," he said, "yet everyone benefits from its light." She felt warmth gather in her chest. Her value didn't depend on applause. It lived in her quiet giving. She felt steadier, more grounded, more herself. Maybe you give without being seen too. Your light still matters. Your quiet good is still good. For 1 minute, acknowledge one helpful thing you did this week. Story 79. A monk asked why worry drained him so much. He felt tired, even on calm days. His mind raced ahead constantly. The Buddha placed a heavy backpack on him. "Walk," he said. The monk struggled immediately. "Now take it off." The monk sighed in relief. "That heaviness," the Buddha said, "is your imagined future." The monk blinked, stunned. His shoulders relaxed as he understood. He felt present again. Maybe your mind jumps ahead too. The backpack isn't required. Worry is weight you don't need to carry. For 1 minute, breathe as if removing a backpack from your shoulders. Story 80. A young monk felt lonely on his path, even surrounded by others. He felt apart. He doubted his belonging. The Buddha invited him on a night walk. Crickets sang. Moonlight shimmered. Leaves rustled. All these sounds, the Buddha said softly, sing a single night. The monk paused. He felt the truth in his bones. Everything belonged, including him. A gentle warmth filled his chest. His loneliness softened into connection. The night felt like a shared home. Maybe you feel alone sometimes, but you're part of the night too. You belong simply by being here. For 1 minute, listen to the nearest sound and feel yourself included in it. Tonight, as we come to the end of this quiet hour together, you might notice a softness in the air around you, a loosened space in your chest, a little more room in your breath, almost as if the world has stepped back a few paces, giving you permission to rest without being strong, without being productive, without holding anything upright. Just you, just this moment, just the gentle glow of a mind settling down. For a long while now, we've walked through simple stories, small lanterns placed along a night path, each one offering a touch of warmth, a little easing of the thoughts that run so fast during the day. Maybe you didn't even notice the shift, but something inside you has been unclenching, like a fist opening at the end of a long, tiring struggle. And now, as the hour closes, we rest together in the quiet that remains. Feel the bed beneath you. the way it holds your weight so easily, like a calm river holding a small boat. Nothing to push, nothing to correct, just floating. Let your breath drift in, slow, cool, natural, and drift out, like a tide that knows exactly where to go. No need to guide it, no need to improve it. Breath has carried you since the beginning, and it will carry you through this night too. Gently, faithfully, like a trusted friend walking beside you in the dark. You may picture a candle we spoke of earlier, its flame steady, its glow softening the corners of a quiet room. Notice how the flame doesn't strain or reach. It simply rests in its own warmth. Patient, peaceful, complete. Tonight, you are that candle. Quiet light, natural warmth. Nothing forced, nothing withheld. And if any thoughts still rise, let them float upward like tiny sparks, then fade into the darkness above you. No story needed, no chase, no resistance, just drifting, becoming part of the night sky. Feel your body sinking a little deeper now, your shoulders melting downward, your hands growing still and soft, your jaw slackening, like a door gently opening to let the last bit of tension slip out, your whole body unwinding, thread by thread, like a loose knot finally coming undone. And in this loosening, something inside you remembers what peace feels like. Not dramatic, not loud, just a quiet yes that rises from deep within the chest. Let the imagery return now. The river that carries fallen leaves, the ocean that holds every wave without effort, the moonlight resting across a field, the sky stretching endlessly above it all. Imagine yourself inside that landscape, a small, gentle part of a universe that has been unfolding long before today and will continue long after tomorrow. Here, there is nothing to fix, nothing to figure out, nothing waiting for you. Just space, just breath, just the soothing hum of being alive in this one unhurried moment. If you listen closely, you might sense the whole world exhaling with you. Trees releasing their day, waves settling against the shore, stars softening behind thin clouds, even the moon taking her slow, easy walk across the sky. Everything calming, everything easing, everything settling into its place. And you, right here, settling too. You've carried so much today, more than most people can see. Tasks, worries, quiet fears, those invisible weights that sit on the heart. But now, they can rest. They can wait until morning. They can dissolve for a while into the darkness around you. Tonight, your only task is to let go. Let your breath lengthen a little, not by trying, just by allowing. Let your body feel heavier, as if gravity itself had become kinder, more nurturing, holding you the way water holds a drifting leaf. Let your mind grow warm and dim, like a lantern with its flame turned low, glowing just enough to feel safe. What remains in this softness is the simplest truth: you are here. You are breathing, and you are allowed to rest. Feel a sense of peace spreading outward now, from your breath to your chest, to your arms and legs, to the edges of your awareness. A slow wave rolling gently toward the shore. And as it moves, every muscle loosens, every thought thins, every worry fades. The day becomes distance, the night becomes comfort, and you become the quiet at the center of both. Stay with this feeling as long as you like. Float in it. Sink in it. Breathe in it. You've reached the end of this hour, but not the end of peace. Peace continues, flowing softly beneath you, around you, within you, like a river that never stops moving even when you sleep. So let yourself drift now into rest, into warmth, into the wide, open night that welcomes you completely. The world is quiet. Your body is soft. Your mind is spacious. You are safe. You are held. You are home. Good night.